What is up, and welcome back to the CKM Red Rugby League channels. Hope you are well wherever you are watching from in the world. It is another glorious Tuesday, which can only mean that it is time to go through all the team lists. Round 25 quickly upon us, and as ever, Luke Jobson here to help me go through the teams. How are you going, mate?
I'm good, mate. We're keeping busy in lockdown. We're on week number 10, I think. It's something like that here in Sydney. So hopefully everyone who's watching wherever you are, you're safe, you're happy, you're well. Last regular season round, mate. Who would have thought? Who would have thought it would have gone that quick?
It's flown. It seems like the only constant that we've had this year has been the rugby league, and we're out of the year, coming out of the regular season into the finals. Plenty of team changes to go through, plenty of rested players, plenty of stars missing as well. Let's go straight to game one. It is the Raiders versus the Roosters. For the Raiders, must-win game. If they are to keep their finals hopes alive, they need a win against the Roosters. It is a big, big ask, but the Roosters have made a few changes, as have the Raiders. Nickel Clockstart is into the fullback shirt. Smith Shields goes from 5 into the 2 shirt. Going over to the other side, Rapana is moved from fullback onto the wing. It is the new halves pairing of White and Frawley that you've seen in the last few weeks that continues to persist there. Soliola is into the 13. The rest of the forwards remaining unchanged. And then going to the bench, it is Goulet, Sutton, Horsburgh and Havili. Down to the reserves, Sam Williams, Valame, Anderson and Mooney for the Raiders. Going over to the Roosters side, there is no Joey Manu. Obviously, he will be missing for the remainder of the season. It is a huge loss to the Roosters' finals hopes. Their hopes in the finals. But Josh Morris is into the side. He will be playing this week after announcing his retirement from the game at the end of the season. So I'm sure he'll be keen to impress. Kieran is the other centre with Ikavalu on the wing, and then it is Hutchison and Lamb in the halves. Waria Hargreaves and Takiaho pulling up last week, but has been cleared of a serious knee injury and is fit to play. Verrills in the 9, Crichton and Tupanua in the second row, with Liu maintaining the 13 shirt, while it is Walker, Butcher, Marshke and Hal Tapua on the bench, with Graham Tafoa, Brad Abbey, White and Daniel Saluka for Fita, making up the remainder of the Roosters reserves. Roosters 1-12 for me. Straight out the gates on this one.
Ooh. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. Next game.
No. It's a hard one to look at because you a strong case for the Raiders because they have more or less a full strength side. Yes, they lose Simonson to a groin injury, but if anything, that almost strengthens that side because Nickel Cookstar does go to the back, Rapana goes to the wing. You've got 2 strong ball runners in centre with Chris and Tomoko. Josh Morris, is going to be coming back from an extended period off. The forward pack, it's going to be a tough battle. Papali'i against Waria Hargreaves, that's a mouth-watering clash. Soliola potentially playing his last game in the NRL. A storied career for the NRL in the Super League, but if the Raiders don't make it into the finals this week, there's a strong chance that that's his career done. And if so, a fantastic career. But I think the thing for me, the one thing that stands out is that you have Sam Walker once again on the bench. And we both questioned that a couple of weeks ago when that happened, but it turned out to be an absolute masterstroke. My question isn't necessarily why is he in the 14, more so than why is Marshke in the 16. That one's interesting. I know they've only got 21 fit players by the looks of it, because you have the same extended bench from last week for the most part. Maybe Nefanu White comes in for Marshke. That would potentially be the only change that I could see. Maybe Verrills could be rested. But I still think, even with all of that, Roosters 1-12, it's going to potentially kill the Raiders, or will kill the Raiders season, because they have the negative points differential. Tough. It is tough. I could definitely make a case for the Raiders getting over. In terms of sports bet, yeah, you're looking for your anytime try scorers. Josh Morris, I think, feel good story at 263. I don't see why not. But with that said, you have to look at the likes of Tomoko and Chris paying 3 and 340. Kieran's not a strong defender. He's been serviceable, but he's not a strong defender. Not in the centers. Josh Morris, first game back. You have to question how fit he is in terms of match fitness, whether he's been able to train consistently, or whether it's been on and off. The Seb Chris and Matt Tomoko at $3 and $3.50, I think, are value. Twist my arm, Joel Multi. I agree. Roosters 1-12. I'd say Tupou at $1.67. Too hard to ignore in the air, and Tomoko at $3.50.
Yeah. So I'm going. The only reason that I go Roosters 1-12 is obviously you got the Raiders, who are going to fight tooth and nail to keep this game alive. They need to keep this one close. They need to make sure that they are there or thereabouts for the entirety of this game. If the Roosters go out to a 2-try lead, the game's potentially already over, because that'll be as good as it won't even be as good as that'll be the Raiders season done. If they can't come up with something here, and you've seen it time and time again, when teams start to lose confidence through the course of a game, that's when you start to see blowouts. The Roosters are one of these sides that can put a decent amount of points on. They were bitterly disappointing last week, and I expect that they will recover from that with probably a strong performance here. But I think the fact that the Raiders need to keep the Roosters at arm's length for the majority of the game in order to make sure that they can close it out at close quarters towards the back end. Roosters 1-12 seems the lesser of two evils on this one. I don't think that the Raiders get up. As much as I'd like to see the Raiders get up, I think the vein of form that they've found towards the end of the season has been far better than how they started the season. And as far as them deserving it, if you lose out on points difference and points difference alone, dependent on how the other results go, you got the Sharks. We'll talk about the Sharks a little bit later, but it's not a pleasant place to be, missing out on just points difference. Anytime try scorers, I'm going to go Tupanua. I think that he's been a danger. He's coming back off injury. He'll be looking to really cement that 12 spot back. I know that he was stuck down there in the 15 and the 16 shirt for a long time. And as this season's progressed, with injuries to Crichton and him being away on rep duty and things like that, it offers him a greater opportunity. So I'm going to go Tupanua, anytime try scorer there. I'm going to say Roosters 1-12. I'm going to say no more than 46.5 points in this one. I'm going to say under 46.5. Okay. Yeah, I'd lap that up. I think it's going to be a tighter affair than many expect, with how much is riding on this game for the Raiders. And I think that the fact that the Roosters are running a slightly weakened side, like as we mentioned there, we've got Walker in the 14, which has worked out for them. But the Marshke in the 16, I agree, I don't really get. There's almost too much versatility there and not enough impact. You saw Abbey, who's played most of his trade as a hooker. Saw him slotting on the wing last week. And
a hooker?
Brad Abbey. I thought Brad Abbey was. Is it a different Brad Abbey? I thought it was the same Brad Abbey that might have been at the Dogs before. Okay, different Brad Abbey. Okay,
but that was fourth in line at Panthers. Went might have been to the Raiders for a season, and has been playing fullback for North Sydney.
Right. Okay, but again, I think if anything's going to happen, I'd say probably Saluka Fafita comes from the reserves, swap Marshke in, and then you've got the impact there to take on the bench that the Raiders have got. I mean, you've got Gula, who's a big body, Sutton, Horsburgh, and then obviously you've got Havili in the 17 who can come in and play as a roaming lock. And then you probably see Soliola maybe go to the props, but it's it's just the Roosters bench that doesn't fill me with the greatest of confidence. But Robinson's a far better NRL coach than I am. He knows his stuff, and we'll leave him to it. And that's my predictions on that one. And I think we'll go to our next game. If you've nothing more to add,
no, the Raiders have it tough because they have to win. Put simply, they lose and they're done. The Sharks, who we're just about to talk about, can somewhat guesstimate on what they have to do. But, and I'll let you go through the team list in a second. If the Sharks get pumped here, those 10th place Titans against the Warriors will be licking their lips because their points differential is not that far away from what the Sharks is right now against what's still a very strong Storm side.
Yeah, and we will get on to that game now then. It is the Sharks versus the Storm. For the Sharks, not many changes at all to report. Talakai goes from the 12 into the 17 with Teague Wilton coming in the 12 shirt. Other than that, they are unchanged. Moylan in the 6, Trindle in the 7, Tracy is in the centre with Ramian on the other side. Katoa and Hiroti are the wings with Kennedy at fullback. Braley is the 9. Toby Rudolph still in that prop role where he has seemed to excel this year with Woods on the other side. And then it is Jack Williams in the 13, cleared of a head injury after being collected in that tackle last week against the Broncos where Flegler copped him. Over to the bench, it is Metcalf, Hamlin-Uele, Tolman and Talakai. Into the reserves, it is O'Donnell, Magulius, Tomopea and Luar. Going to the Storm side, it is Pappenhausen. Jennings comes in, as does Seve. Iramaya goes to the other wing with the absence of Josh Adokar this week. Hines in the 6 with Hughes in the 7. No Munster. Kamikamitha in. Smith holds the 9 shirt, and Asafa Solomona makes a very rare start. He makes his return to the side, and then into the forwards, it is Penne, Lewis, and Finucane. To the bench, it is Harry Grant, Tepe Maroa, Jordan Grant, and Riley Jacks. Down to the reserves, it is Johns, Atkinson, Loyero, and Lumi. We've literally just spoken about a bench that offers little versatility, little go forward, and almost too much versatility. It's like Craig Bellamy is the DJ Khaled of rugby league. He looked at halves and he just went, another one, half, another one. And he's continued with that. Harry Grant is a playmaker. Jordan Grant is a playmaker. Jax is a playmaker. Moiroa, if you found a big enough 7 shirt, he'd probably throw the ball around a little bit as well from his time in Union. But Bellamy's, I think he's past caring at this point. He's like, yeah, okay, we're top of the ladder. We're not really caring anymore about how this goes. Give everyone a run out. But again, we've talked about the Storm's versatility and the Storm, just how many options they have and how terrifying that is. But Hines, again, there in the 6. So we've seen him play 7 in Hughes' absence. Now we see him play 6 in Munster's absence. Pappenhausen slotting straight back into the 1 shirt. It's a danger, and the Sharks have got a hell of a mountain to climb. If you're the Titans this week, you have been blessed with how this draw lines up, because you've got 8th place taking on 1st place. You've got 9th place taking on a Rooster side that should arguably be higher than 6 if it weren't for injuries. I know anybody can claim injuries and any of these things, but you're playing a red hot Rooster side coming off the back of a pumping against their most bitter rivals. You're not in a good position. And now the Sharks have got to take on a Storm side that lost out last week to the Eels, ended their historic run. If the Storm and 19-1, you have 0-2 pigs flying chance of them going 19-2 against the Sharks. Okay, I get that the Sharks have a lot to lose in this game. Their points differential has done them not the greatest. I mean, they're sitting at a -24 right now. Even if the Titans can pull a win, but it's only a narrow win against the Warriors, they're a chance of missing out. The Sharks need to keep this one competitive. I don't even think that the Sharks win this one. I just think that they need to keep it competitive. Like, they know how much is on the line. They've got to do everything they can to stop this Storm side from blowing them out. And this Storm side have got points in them. I mean, they're currently sitting on a plus 487 points differential. That's ridiculous.
They 500 if they win.
That's madness. Their 4 is 787. The next closest team to them is the Rabbitohs on 755, and then the next closest team is almost 100 behind them, and that's the Seagulls on 698. Their defence only leaked 300 points this season. That is 20 more than the Panthers, who currently sit in second place. The Sharks have got to put in a shift to not just keep this Storm side out, but to get points themselves, and they need points.
They have the advantage of doing what they have to do after the game. Obviously, they've got to win. If they win, then no matter what happens, barring a 50-plus Raiders thumping of the Roosters, they're into the 8. But if the Raiders win, the Sharks need to win. There's no if, and, or but. A win either way, you beauty, one step closer. A win with the Raiders loss, Sharks make the 8. A loss with the Raiders win, I bash near on everything, the Raiders are in the 8. If both the Sharks and the Raiders lose, and the Titans have a half-decent win, Titans could sneak in there. And if the Titans get in, you'd call that a big-time missed opportunity for Cronulla. I'll give the Jordan Grant one a pass there because the few minutes he has played this year, he played as a second rower. I know he might be a Serbian playmaker, but in the NRL as a second rower. It's like Joseph Paulo when he played for the US in 2013. Might have been a lock, but he had to pull the kicking for the Hawks because he was their 6. I know there's a ton on the line for this game. I know that the Sharks are just going to be chomping at the bit, no pun intended, but I can't see it happening. I've got to say Storm 30+. As a proud Parramatta supporter this week, after a month of heartbreak and turmoil, I was ecstatic to see us get up. But we've now pissed the Storm off, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. This is still a side, even though they got outplayed by Parramatta, and you never, ever hear that. That's not a sentence I ever say. You still have Pappenhausen. You still have Jennings, who's a finisher. You still got 2 freakish ball runners in the centres. An unfamiliar halves combo, yes, but you got Nico Hines and Jerome Hughes. It's the system. You can throw Cooper Johns and Riley Jacks in there like they had to at a point this year, and they'll still win. It's just the damn system. Don't know how Metcalf isn't starting ahead of Moylan. I would absolutely have Metcalf there. But, yeah, for me, I've got to go to the Sharkies to get pumped here. Storm 13+, anytime try scorers. Jennings probably gets one coming back from his injury. Again, the Sharks not great in the middle. I think I tipped a prop last week and tipped the wrong prop. We're going to go with the props again and say Kamikamitha goes over. I think it would be either his first or his second try this year. Middle defense, not a key strength for the Sharks. If I'm tipping Kamikamica because the middle defense isn't great, you've got to go Pappenhausen because the Storm will break through. They will charge through the middle, and you're going to have any lot of Pappenhausen, Hines, and Hughes there backing up. Pappenhausen, Kamikamica, George Jennings, Sharks 13+. Storm 13+, I should say.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going Storm 13+ as well. I think that if last week's game exposed anything, it's that there are some frailties that can be exposed up that Storm middle. But this is a different Storm middle to last week. It is a completely new look Storm. You've got neither of the Bromwiches. You've got Asafa Solomona coming back in. I mean, essentially, they've run out their two biggest props in Kamikamica and Asafa Solomona. They've just parked them they've parked them in the middle of the field, and those two will take up as good as two parking spots between them. Like they're big men. You've got Lewis and Penne. Not played a great deal this year. Lewis, yes, ran out at 13 last week. You got Finucane coming back in the 13, offers a little bit more go forward, a little bit more ball playing versatility than Lewis does. You like to see Finucane take on the line a little bit more often and engage that line. But the Sharks middles, I don't see doing the job that Paras did last week. I think that they'll run tape and they'll try and expose those same frailties that the Eels did a good job of doing, but ultimately they'll fall short on their execution because we've seen that the Sharks' execution through the course of this year just isn't as crisp as it should be, and that comes a lot through spiral changes. I think the only real consistency with their spine this year has been Kennedy at 1 and Brayley at 9. When you're chopping and changing players constantly, it means that players are misfiring, moves are not hitting, balls are going to chest instead of hands, which means that you can't move the ball as swiftly and as fluently through the hands and down the line, the likes of the way that you see the Storm do it. And I know that I say that when the Storm have played most of their season with Hines at 1 and Pappenhausen not really featuring. But Smith's been a pretty constant in that 9 role. You know what you're going to get. Smith and Grant have very similar play styles. They're those burrowing hookers that come out and they'll shoot out a dummy half, and then you've got options either side. Because the Storm are very tuned in, they're very switched on to what each other are trying to do. If the Sharks are going to try and play them up the middle and execute behind that ruck, they need to be quicker. And for me, Moylan's just not been clicking the way that he should do, and I think that that's where the Sharks are going to come unstuck. So I'm going to say Storm 13+. I'm going to say take the over on this one. The Sharks will want to keep it competitive, but realistically they won't. In terms of an anytime try scorer, I'm going to go Olam. He comes up as the numbers line up against Connor Tracy. Tracy is a smaller man. Olam's a very explosive player. We've seen that Tracy can defend. He's okay coming up against some of those more explosive types, but I just think that Olam coming onto a flat ball at the line is just going to power his way through Connor Tracy. I know that he's got Katoa outside him, but again, we've seen that defensive frailty of Katoa and Tracy. Katoa has a tendency to come inwards, which forces Tracy inwards as well. By the numbers where they line up, I think it's Nakora that commonly defends inside them. He's a strong defender, but again, he likes to go looking. If you've got too many players that like to go looking and like to be those impact players and those bang players, you're going to draw your own line out, and it's a real issue that the Sharks have faced all year, and that's why you see players go through holes untouched. And I think the same thing will happen here. Olam's either going through Tracy or past him. It's one of the two.
The thing that I think the Sharks maybe do is use Metcalf early. You pointed out that Parramatta were able to play the ball quickly last week, get around that A defender, get around that first marker, and gain a couple of meters behind the ruck. If you're going to do that, you want to have quick players on the field. You want to have an able-bodied person on the field. or a very able and agile, I should say, person on the field. And Luke Metcalf is that. He's one of the quickest in the comp. He was playing on the wing for their 9 side 2 years ago in Perth that saw him go into the team of the comp. That's their guy. That's not Moylan. Moylan is the game controller. Trindle can do that too, and Trindle is a great game controller. But Trindle can run. In theory, I understand it. But against the Storm side, knowing what's at stake, to me, you have to have Metcalf start and Moylan plays in the 14.
I agree. I think we'll get off that one then, and we will go to the Eels and the Panthers. And the Eels have got their excuses in early by just, I don't know, I think they've got the kit man at 9, and whoever runs Cone is playing 1. He's a completely new look Eels side. Perham is at 1, Dunster at 2, Opacek at 3, Oldfield comes in the 4, Ferguson features in the 5, and then Smith has been given the nod as captain for this week and will run out in the 6 with Arthur in the 7. It is Kafusi and Makatoa in the props with Lussick at 9, Cartwright and Hipgrave in the second row, and Stone at 13. In 14, it is Loizu, Rodwell in the 15, Lane in the 16, and Russell in the 17. Down to the reserves, it's Penasini, Papali'i, Nathan Brown, and Dylan Brown. Going over to the Panthers, and they are pretty much unchanged, which is not good news if you are in a Parramatta shirt. This is a pretty much unchanged lineup. Tyrone May comes into the 14 from the reserves. Toto is there again. He's cleared of that injury by the looks of things. It's just not a great look for the Eels. You'd think that off the back of a big win against the Storm, I get that you're resting your players for finals. I wholeheartedly agree that is, that's not a bad idea. But there is nothing quite like taking all the momentum out of your side's sails by resting them the week after potentially the thing that turns their confidence ahead of the finals. Like, you beat the Storm, you ended a historic NRL run, and now there's 3 players from last week, that game. Lussick, Ferguson, Cartwright? No, 4, Lane.
Played, Ferguson played, Lane played. But I get the point. This is essentially our New South Wales Cup side. No joke. Perham has been lights out for Parramatta in New South Wales Cup. Dunster, I mean, I feel bad saying New South Wales Cup, but at some point, Ferguson was there. Opacek would have been there and had been there earlier in the year. Oldfield's barely gotten a game. Granted, if it weren't for injury at the start of the year, he likely was one of the starting backs. Smith, 72 NRL games across a couple of clubs. A great utility guy for us. Congrats on the captaincy. But again, New South Wales Cup. Jacob Arthur, New South Wales Cup. Oregon, Kafusi, Makatoa, Lussick. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. We don't have Junior Paulo through suspension. We don't have Regan Campbell-Gillard through injury. There's 2 of our big boppers. That probably is our best starting 8 and 10 at the moment. Lussick doing a more than serviceable job replacing Reid, Cartwright. We've seen glimpses. We've seen enough. Parramatta have seen enough to re-sign him through next year. Keegan Hipgrave gets a shot, and Hipgrave has not lost in a Parramatta Eels jersey. Ray Stone in the 13, again, serviceable, but not who I want in the 13. Loizu, couldn't tell you. Honestly, couldn't tell you. Same for Kai Rodwell. I believe it's both their debuts for Parramatta. Rodwell has been in the New South Wales Cup for a while. Sean Lane, Sean Russell. I was hoping to see Penasini play, but I understand it. He's only just come up in the first grade. It has been a rough initiation. To me, he's passed in flying colours. Save him for finals. Same for Papali'i. Same for Nathan Brown. Same for Dylan Brown. Parramatta are a $13 chance on Sportsbet. As a Parramatta fan who holds the slightest bit of hope, I am going to put $5 on that. Officially, I am going to tip the Panthers. Because I saw that look and you were like, oh my God, what's he saying? After last week, and I know it's a New South Wales Cup side, but after last week at $13, to me, it's worth $5. It is worth a cup of coffee at $13.
I think drawing comparisons to last week, when you had Moses, Brown, Gutherson, the other Brown, Papali'i, literally your entire first team. Anyone's a shot in any game, no matter how far out the odds are, if you've put your best foot forward.
Okay, but Papali'i, Kafusi. Papi has not been playing edge defense the last month and a half, which I think is part of the problem. But again, we're not the NRL coach. Makatoa was great. Cartwright, yeah, he's no Ryan Madison, but Matto hasn't been there the last couple of weeks. Hipgrave, I think probably ends up going into the 13, and we see Sean Lane come from the bench into the 12. I think that's more likely than this current lineup. Russell, maybe he's there for coverage. I don't quite know. I think Loizu's a prop. I think Rodwell's a prop / a second rower. The thing that we have working for us is these combinations know how they work together. Yeah, we come up against one of the best teams in the comp again. Yeah, Panthers should win by 40. But these combinations know how to work together because they played together for a lot of this season. Will it be disjointed to an extent because they haven't played for 6 or 7 weeks? Yes. Will it still be a better attack than what we've seen for the majority of the past month? Also, yes. Because there's no chopping and changing. There's no question about the health of everyone. Panthers win by 40. If I have to pick an anytime try scorer for Parramatta, and it's a big if I have to. Oh, Will Smith, maybe first time at captain, could be a little bit of value. Well, I say a little bit of value. He's probably paying about $12 for an anytime try scorer. He's paying $8. If you want real value, Oregon Kafusi, Kyle Rodwell, and Makatoa are at $17 for an anytime try scorer. Panthers 27.5 is the line. I'd be inclined to take that. Nathan Cleary's going to score. Matt Burton's going to score. Kick-out likely scores. Pangai Jr. at 330. Yeah, there's value. You just have to go look.
Yeah. Immediately, I'm going to jump on that line. I'm going to go Panthers on that line. What was it? Minus 27.5. Panthers to win both halves. Eels to score less than 16.5 points. And I'm going to go Toto anytime for a try scorer. His work rate is insatiable. When you touch the ball that often, chances are you're probably going to score. He ran for 297 meters last week and bagged a try.
Something like that.
The guy drinks fuel. He goes by your local Esso and drinks whatever's in the pumps. He is a machine. He is not of this world, is Toto. And I fully expect that he probably is going to go over again here. Like I say, it's the law of averages. You touch the ball often enough, chances are you're probably going to score, especially if you're an edge player. Toto, explosive on the edges, lightning quick. Just screams value there for me on that one.
If you feel so inclined and want to look at a little more value, you could look at any time or to score a try in the first half. To'o, $2, Cleary, $4. I don't think Tavita Pangai Jr. gets on in the first half, but if you think he does, he's at $6. I can't see one for a second half anytime. Oh, there you go. Second half anytime try scorer. It's the same odds. So if you think that To'o hits early, $2 to score in the first half. I mean, if you think Parramatta gets held to nothing, you can go no try scored Parramatta for $4.33, or if you think that they're held to nothing, Panthers to win to nil is $4.50. I don't think that. I think Para probably gets 10, and one of them will be early because we'll target To'o in the air. But yeah, Panthers on the line for me. Although again, I'd love to be wrong. Just don't concede 50. Just don't concede 50. We're one of 3 teams in the 8 who haven't conceded 50. Don't be that team this week.
Right. Okay. We'll get off that one then, and we will go to the Broncos versus the Knights. And for the Broncos, but for both these sides, realistically, it is a case of nothing to lose. The Knights are secure in their spot. They will be there in the finals. The Broncos will be watching on KO probably because they won't. Over to the Broncos lineup, it is pretty much unchanged. The only enforced change is Flagler out, Bullimore in. Flagler obviously missing through suspension. Going to the bench is Pakes, Mead, Kennedy, and Rabati. Over to the reserves is Levi, Croft, Arthurs, and Isako. The Broncos sticking with that Milford Kelly 6-7 combination, and 1 through 5 they are unchanged. Going down to the Knights, Jones is into the 12, Randall is into the 9, and Stafford Toa is in at 5. He replaces Heinel Hunt. Then through to the bench, it is Crossland, Momasia, King, and Johns. That remaining, the rest of the team remaining unchanged, with Young, Solo, Hoy, and Sasagi on the reserves. I honestly don't know which way to put this one.
I do.
Go on, go for it.
Broncos. It's their last game in front of a hometown that they have put through the absolute ringer this year. They're looking better. They are looking better. Yeah, the Knights sealed a finals berth last week, but I wasn't convinced. I was not overly convinced. Crossland in the 14, I don't know about that. I mean, David Mead's not going to be in the 15. We'll just say that here. Oh, geez, actually, you know what? Looking at the reserves, he might be. Look, I still think the Broncos. I think the Broncos go hard. Clemmer, Sue, Momasia, King against Bullimore, Haas, Kennedy, Rabati. Hetherington can play lock if he has to. Ricky could play lock if he has to. I take the Broncos props. I take Ricky over Jones, but Frizzell over Glenn. Hetherington and Watson, that's a good matchup. That's going to be a really good one to watch because they both bring very good ball skills. They're both very strong runners. Watson probably a little more energetic, but still Hetherington has that spark being an ex-hooker. Cobbo v Best. I very well could sit down and watch this game purely to see Cobbo v Best, Milford in his last game for the Broncos, and Haas v Clemmer. To me, those are the 3 selling points. I thought, look, I'm going to tip Payne Haas again for a try. I thought the Broncos completely misused him in the red zone last week. They used him as a setup prop against a side that really they should have beat. Realistically, the Broncos should have should have beat the Sharks. They had so many opportunities, but they couldn't capitalise because they played the wrong tactic. Haas should not have been a set-up prop. He should have been a crash play. And it didn't happen. I'm going for him again this week against a Knights side that is, especially with their bench forwards, susceptible to that sort of a play. You could say the same for Bullymore. I think we know who Hugo's tipping this week. Appreciate you tuning in, Hugo. In terms of a Knights, anytime try scorer, Brody Jones, very quick, very strong, going up against Glenn, who's playing his last game for the Broncos. I mean, you could see Glenn go for a try as well. But I think Brody will just be too quick on the outside of Glenn there. Farnworth probably gets one against Man as well, but I wouldn't call that one an official tip. Definitely Coates over Tuala. I probably listed about 4 or 5 different try scorers there. So Broncos win. The over is 49.5. I would hit that. Anytime try scorer. Coates, yes. Farnworth, yes. Brody Jones, yes. And if you want just to have an absolute throw at the stumps, Payne Haas as well.
Okay.
That's a big one. That's crazy, I know.
Yeah. For me, there's too many narratives in this Broncos side to look past. I mean, we'll start with the Knights. Mitchell Pearce has to come out earlier in the week and he says that he's wholeheartedly committed to the club and he wants to make sure that everything's good in the run-up to this final series and everything else. This is the same week that he comes out and makes this statement, is the same week that the Knights announced that they've signed Adam Clune from the Dragons on a 2-year deal. Mitchell Pearce doesn't have a contract beyond next season. If a player has to come out and publicly say how dedicated they are to the team, chances are it's because things are not as sweet as they appear. So immediately there, you've got to put a question mark against your halves pairing of Clifford and Pearce. I think that Pearce isn't at the Knights next year. I think that chances are he probably goes Super League. Jimmy Maloney's just been announced as signing for another side in France, and they'll leave Catalans. I reckon Pearce ends up joining him in France and goes to Catalans in the Super League. I think that's how that plays out. Over to the, I mean, it's just go figure. You come out and you say, I'm dedicated to the side. I'm not looking at anything else, even though I've not got a deal. Your chances are you're probably looking over the fence for your next contract rather than focused on what's going on around you. And I know that that's very easy to say from the outside looking in when you're not in the middle of all those things, but it'll definitely be playing on his mind a little bit, and it will be acting as a distraction. Connor Watson leaving the Knights as well. No doubt Kalen Ponga is going to be a little bit disgruntled. It's no secret their level of friendship. It's all those things will have played a part. I think the Knights are potentially not in a great headspace. As you mentioned, Clemmer, on what could be one of his last games for the Knights, not a great headspace to be. You go to the Broncos. Milford is now using the Broncos as his South's audition tape as to why he runs in the 6 next year and pushes Cody Walker into the 7 shirt, with Reynolds going to the Broncos. And you know what? He's putting together a hell of a highlight tape. He was putting up kicks that he's not put up before. He was making runs that he'd not been those lines that he'd not been running for a long while. He looked like the shades of the Anthony Milford that was worth the money that he was on at the Broncos. Albert Kelly, again, a player who next year has a point to prove, and he's got to be there or thereabouts for getting himself. He's got himself a new deal, but he'll want to be playing next year. He's putting his audition tape together as to why he is your first choice. Well, your first choice 6, because let's face it, with Reynolds there, Reynolds is going to be the 7. Kelly's now putting an audition tape together as to why he partners him in the halves. Glenn, as you mentioned, on his way out, he'll be retiring after this game with the Broncos not making the finals. They want to send him off for the win. David Mead, not getting any younger. He's now branched out into the podcasting business. Honestly, go check out the David Mead podcast. It's absolutely fantastic. He's probably now starting to think about life after rugby league. You've got Isako out there in the 21 not finding a space. Haas knows that he's probably not played at his best this season, not through trying. But there's just too many storylines here for me to look past. I'm going Broncos 1-12. I'm going to say that it's probably a high-scoring game. Neither of these sides have anything to lose from being a little bit experimental, throwing the ball around, trying some new players and trying some new systems as they transition into that new season. As for an anytime try scorer, I'm going to go Tessie New. So I'm going Broncos 1-12, high-scoring game, and Tessie New. So back the over as well.
All right.
A lot to dissect there.
We spoke about 8 there, but we probably said as
much. Right, we'll go to the next game then. It is the Cowboys versus the high-flying Sea Eagles. The Cowboys, very few changes to report. Tabuai Fido maintains the one shirt. It is Felton Holmes on one side with Hampton and Talagi on the other. Drinkwater and Dearden are the developing halves pairing in 6 and 7. Hess is into the prop role with McLean partnering him. Robson at 9, and then it's Condon. Nanai comes in the 12, and Tamalolo moves from prop back to 13. Then it is Granville, Lukey, Dunn, and Neem on the bench. Going to the reserves, it is Gilbert, Arcee, Burr, and Lemuelu. Over to the Sea Eagles, very few changes to report. Alaye is into the 8 shirt. They are unchanged from 1 through 7. And then it is Croker, Tapau, Olaka'atu, Schuster, and Jitrovic, so as you were. And then Walker, Lawton, Kepi, and Paseka making up the bench. Down to the reserves, it is Sipley, Sully, Siranen, and DeLuise. The Seagulls are pushing hard for that top 4 spot. I have absolutely zero reason to believe that they will not run a route on this Cowboys side. The Cowboys have been poor this season. Yes, they've shown better potential towards the back end of the year with Drinkwater and Dearden really starting to connect and looking like a long-term house pairing. If they can tie down players like Tabuai Fido, Drinkwater and Dearden to long-term deals, have him with Robson in the 9, then chances are you have a long-term endearing spine. You've seen that teams that can build rosters around a long-term spine tend to do well. It's part of what brought Storm success. It's part of what brought the Broncos success, and the Cowboys will be looking to replicate something similar if they can keep those young players together. They need more time, and the Seagulls are not going to afford them that time. For the Cowboys, no Frank Muller. He'll be leaving the Cowboys at the end of the season. Disappointed to see that he's not in the side. I don't know whether that's through injury or what, but I think this year it's been disappointing to not see him as much, considering that just the year before he was an Origin rep, and then this year just can't break the side for whatever reason. Coming back to the Seagulls, they've just been red hot ever since they found that vein of form that did coincide with Tom Trbojevic coming back from injury. They have absolutely lit the competition up. Their points for, as we mentioned before, 3rd best in the competition, currently sitting 4th on the ladder. Their defense has let them down in aspects. A points differential against, points against of 474. They can leak points if they don't watertight their defense up a little bit. I think the Cowboys could expose it. They've got plenty of pace in their side with Tabuai Fido, Val Holmes, Talagi, Drinkwater and Dearden are no slouches either, and Robson shooting out at 9. There's potentials for points on both sides for this one, but I think the Seagulls run this one up. I'd say Seagulls take them on a -24.
The wild is that after round 4, they were rock hard. 0-4. They'd had the Panthers and the Roosters put 46 on them. They conceded 38 against the Dragons, and they lost 26-12 against the Bunnies. No Tom Turbo, of course. They sneak home with the 13-12 win against the Warriors. The next week, Tom Trbojevic comes back, 36-0 Titans. Week after that, 40-6 against the Tigers. They lose to the Panthers in Bathurst, and then 38-32 against the Warriors. 50-6 against the Broncos. 28-6 against Parramatta. Like it's Tom Trebojevic. It was at a point Tom Trebojevic or nothing. But they got their confidence back, and even when Turbo was out for those couple of weeks, they still looked okay. Definitely not the Seagulls, with Turbo, but they looked okay. They didn't look okay last week. They looked complacent for the first 40. The Dogs went in up 12-10, I think it was. And you were thinking, surely not. Parra did it the night before. Surely the Dogs can't do it. Obviously, the last 20 minutes, Manly just ran away with it. Tommy Turbo with a hat trick. They finally got that inside ball running play right. Saab got a double. Going back to the teams, I kind of like Tamalolo at prop. I didn't mind that. I really like that. It took the pressure off Jordan McLean, who probably had his best game this year. I don't really want Cohen Hess back there. I'd take Frankie Molo, but, I've gone on about that topic too much this year. I will say I do like the looks of Condon, Nanai, Lukey, Dunn, Neem, and Cotter last week. That is a very strong young group coming through. If they can secure the majority of them alongside the likes of Tabuai-Fidow, Holmes is there for a couple more years. Talangi's there for a couple more years. Tamalolo's only mid to late 20s. He's still got 6 or 7 years of his contract left. There's time there. There are some promising signs for the Cowboys, but it's still Manly 13 plus for me. No change to the starting lineup from what I can see. Toffa Sipley, unlucky not to be in the 17, but it is what it is. Paseka's back. Lawton's been good. Dylan Walker played at prop for parts of last week and looked good doing it. The new cheese of the NRL. Anytime try scorers, take your pick. Turbo, just yes. Saab against Talangi, yes. Garrick, I thought, should have been guaranteed a couple, was denied one dubiously. He should get one. Harper and Parker again at 210. That's some value for me. Olakuatu 250 looks good. Schuster at 340 is due. Comes up against Condon, who's strong, but he's not agile. You can make a good case for a couple of these. Cowboys anytime try scorers, if they do go over, they're going to target Brad Parker. As the numbers line up, that's Hampton, who's paying $450. Funnier things have happened. So I'll throw Hampton in there for value if you think that he goes over, but Manly 13 plus and the Manly 125 at least get one.
Yeah. So for anytime try scorers, I'm going to go Tabuai-Fidow for the Cowboys. I don't think the Cowboys get a great deal of points, but I think if they do, I think it's an individual spark of brilliance. I think it's probably Holmes or Tabuai-Fidow that produce it. So I'm going to go with the fullback. Just a gut instinct on that one. I'm going to go Garrick anytime as well. He's while everyone's very focused on Tom Trbojevic and the work that he's doing, a lot of people have very much so overlooked the efforts of players around him. Garrick, first player to reach 100 goals and 20 tries in a season, was it? I think it was the NRL stats.
Closing in very quickly on Hazem El Nasri's regular season points record as well. I think he's only a couple of goals away if he didn't hit it already.
Yeah. Saab, Trbojevic and Garrick, between the three of them make up the top 5 try scorers in the NRL. I think it's Johnston and Addo-Carr that sit ahead of them, if not on Addo-Carr sitting on level tries with Turbo. Don't quote me on that one, but I think that may be the case. So I think Garrick goes over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Avatar 23, 22, Sub 23.
Yeah. So this seagull point have got points in them. When you're attacking as well as you are, your defense doesn't get much of a workout, because if you're scoring off most of your players, chances are it's a case of kick off, score, kick off, score, kick off, score. I don't think the Seagulls have been tested as much, but where the defence has been tested, it has stood up and it's stood the test. I like the call of Schuster. Potentially, I go with that line of thinking as well, but I'm going to go Tabuai Fido. I'm going to go Garrick at any time. I'm going to go Seagulls on a -24. I'm going to say take the over on this one as well, just because I think that the Seagulls are going to potentially rout this one. The Cowboys maybe get 16 points if that.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my my line of thinking for that one.
Yeah, don't mind that.
No. Right then, we will go to a game that I feel like we only spoke about a short while ago. It was the Rabbitohs and the Dragons. We're back to the old Charity Shield one. So the Rabbitohs going through plenty of changes. They've opted to rest plenty of their roster as well. Taff in the 1, Milne in the 2, Burns in 3, Graham in 4, and Paulo in 5. Benji Marshall will partner Elias in the halves with Mamazoulis, the Greek international, in the 9, Totola and Margot in the props with Sewer and Host, and the GOAT, the captain, Marky Nichols in 13. In the 14, it is Hawkins, 15 is Moga, Cartwright in 16 and Mull in 17. Going down to the reserves, it is Arrow, Murray, Johnston and Walker. Through to the Dragons, not a great deal of changes for them. They stick with Sloan as the fullback. No Lomax this week, so Beale is in the 4. Amon and Dorman are the first choice halves pairing again, with Sullivan in the 9 shirt. Maguire sensibly moved back to prop. Burns, Sims in the 11 and 12. DeBellin in 13. Then it is Freddie Lussick, Fumiano, Alvaro, and Farmasili making up the remainder of the bench. And Ford, Clune, Ramsey, and Ellis in the reserves for the Dragons.
Bunny's 13.
Wholeheartedly agree. Next game.
The only reason this game is because I want to see the youth of this South Sydney side come together. There's not been a game. Taff, Ilias, Mamazoulis, and Mole, or Mole, I don't know how to say it, so apologies. They all signed contracts together earlier this year that will extend them through to 23 at least for some of them.
Yeah.
24, I think, for Taff.
Yeah.
And then we've seen... Oh, hello. He's over there, Ossifer. He's in the UK. Taff we've seen glimpses of, and he looks good. He looks damn good. He's no Latrell, but he's damn good. Ilias has been hyped up. He looks solid, has played well in lower grades this year. He gets his chance to... I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know if Benji is going to be the one that plays the controlling half and Ilias struts his stuff, or if it's going to be the other way around. Let Ilias kick and let Benji create. But either way, what an opportunity if this is Benji's last regular season game for the Bunnies. What a chance to have that experience lined up with you in the halves. That spine, if you take Benji out, Taff, Ilias, and Mamazoulis have what, 10 games together, if that?
Believe so.
Benji adds 340-ish. And the way he's been going this year could go one more year. I love the look of Jaden Sullivan at 9. I love the look of Tyrell Sloan at the back. But boy, I'd love to see the Dragons get thumped this week. To me, they've just become a really unlikable side this year. a really unlikable side. Take personal feeling aside. Like Laurie's been fine. Josh Maguire, Alberg's getting rid of him was the best thing they did this year. Sims has been a shining light and a crapshoot. Yeah, they themselves have uncovered some young talent. But you're telling me, even with this young talent, that Matt Duffy is not in the 21. You're telling me that Matt Duffy is not a better player than Tyrell Sloan, Talatau Amone, or Gerard Beale. You're telling me that Gerard Beale is a better player than Cody Ramsey. They've become that much of an unlikable side in terms of tactics, in terms of some of the players that are on that roster. I hope they get pumped.
Yeah, I like this Rabbitohs lineup. Obviously the whole Latrell Mitchell situation we won't talk about. There is already way too much media commentary around that, and the narrative. It's a tackle that went wrong. Injuries happen, but Taff now gets his opportunity. I think that honestly, Elias or Elias is going to be your dominant playmaker. I think that the message from Wayne Bennett is go out and play ball. I don't honestly see the Rabbitohs really training much for this game at all, and that's not a slight on the Dragons. I just think that you look at the Rabbitohs' position, they currently sit on 40 points. Yes, the Storm and the Panthers are on 42. If you bank on them both losing by, 100 points each, then the Rabbitohs take a minor premiership, but it's just not going to happen. You got the Seagulls down in fourth on 32 points. Bennett will have literally just come out and told his team, you've got a bunch of young guys out there, go out and enjoy it. Revel in the moment, get that experience, get used to being out there. He's given some of his experienced heads an opportunity to rest. Johnston no doubt would have liked to have been out there for this game because Johnston against the Dragons probably bags 3 or 4. That's a lovely little try tally that he takes himself up to. He'd be up to what, 26, 27 tries at that point? Yeah. So, but instead, the rest of them, the only real recognised players that you've got that have consistently been in that starting 13 all season are Milne when there's been injuries, Campbell Graham when he's been fit, Marshall played the majority of 14, and then Sewer. Host has been a rotation. Nichols, it wasn't until the back end of the season that he started to really nail down that starting prop role. I am very much looking forward to the combination of Margot and Moga just to mess with the commentary team. I think that one's going to be hilarious, watching them trip over their tongues as they try and fix up which one's which.
It is Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. So I honestly think that the message here from Coach Bennett is go out, have fun with it. Can you see the Rabbitohs spiralling out of the finals in straight sets? If not, how far do you think they'll go? To be honest, Hugo, I've not had a look at the setup. I know that the narrative when Latrell went was there goes their hopes. I know that people said the same thing about Manu with the Roosters. There goes their finals hopes. But dependent on the setup, I can see the Rabbitohs at least winning one game in the finals. I mean, they've not won a great deal of games without Latrell, but Latrell is very much not just the Rabbitohs. They have got a sturdy system around him, and they've shown that versatility. And Taff, when he came in and did the job, he did the job well, and that's why I'm backing him for a try this week. I think that Benji Marshall will be told to be a bit of a passenger for Elias through the course of this game. As I mentioned there, the whole narrative of let the young players play. Mamazelos has probably had a lot of one-to-one coaching with Damien Cook. You're probably going to see him darting in and out of 9 in Cook-esque fashion. it's going to be an interesting one. I don't see the Dragons getting anywhere close. I'm still saying Rabbitohs 13 plus. I'm saying a taff anytime try. I'm saying Rabbitohs to win both halves.
It depends on it depends on the result of the week. They probably lose to both the Panthers and the Storm in week 1 of the final. Take your pick. Looking at what the current setup is, because it confuses me as well. They would play the winner of 6v7, which is currently the Roosters and the Knights. If we're assuming Parramatta lose this week, if results go the way that we've picked, the Bunnies will play the winner of the Eels and the Knights in week 2. I don't think they'll go out in straight sets. As much as I love my Eels, assuming we get through the Knights, we would have to move hell or high water to feasibly beat the Bunnies, who would be full strength minus Latrell. I think they make a preliminary final. I don't see them going to the granny, though.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I am very much done with this game and even more so excited to get onto this next one.
Oh, thank you.
That's true. Okay. Titans versus Warriors. Dependent on how the rest of the games play out through the course of the weekend, this could be the crowning jewel in this round of the NRL. The Warriors are the most rocks and diamonds team you'll ever find in the competition. The Titans went 15-14 down against the Knights last week. How bitterly disappointed will they be to miss out by a single point and then miss out on points difference? That is how it will go down if they cannot record a good enough win to close that -24 to -47 gap. So to bear in mind, the Sharks play the Panthers. The Sharks play the Storm. Okay. The Raiders, we've said that there's a chance that they lose their game as well. They've got less. They've got a slightly better points differential. If anything outside, if the Sharks or Raiders win their games, I'm saying Warriors. If the Sharks and the Raiders lose their games, I'm saying Titans. Because the Titans will be so deflated knowing that they're playing their last game on a formality and potentially lose out on points difference, or not even points difference at that point. If the Sharks grab a win, they move to 24 points. The Titans can't close the gap. If the Raiders win their game, they move to 24 points. The Titans can't close the gap. They will miss out by the narrowest of margins. That 15-14 loss will be the big story point of their season. That was the definer. I was so excited to talk about this game that I've not even gone through the lineups. We'll go through the lineups really quickly.
Yeah. I can see the gears grinding upstairs.
Oh God! Honestly, this is the stuff that gets you off as a rugby league fan.
Warriors, baby. 2 o'clock Sunday. Give me your school. Let's go. Oh, yeah, baby. Let's big teethy.
We got Campbell in the 1, Semi in the 2, with Thompson on the other wing. Kelly and Herbert are the centres. Peachy maintains the 6 jersey with Fogarty in the 7. It is Wallace and Fotuaker in the props with Rain at 9. Then it is Proctor, Fermor in the second rows with Faso Malaawi in the 13. Almost hoping they don't make the finals just so I don't have to say that name again this year. It trips me up every time. Clark in the 14. Fafita in the 15. Jolliffe in the 16. McIntyre in the 17. Through to reserves, it is Big Greg Marzu, Sam Lasoni, Toby Sexton, and the retiring Anthony Don in the 21. Through to the Warriors, it is Wateni Zelezniak on the wing with Montoya on the other side. Walsh at 1, Hiku in the 3. Rocco Berry comes in for Adam Pompey. Harris Tavita in the 6, O'Sullivan in the 7, and then it is for Nua Blake and Lodge in the props with Egan at 9. Curran and Aitken making up the second row as they have done for the last 4 weeks, with Sirenen in the 13. Nikarima will be that 14 shirt utility. 15 is Katoa, 16 is Evans, and 17 is Tanoa Brown. Going down to the reserves, it is Tavonga, Pompey, Murchie, and Edward Corsi in the 22. I can't wait for this game. I think that this is how this goes down for me. I think that if those losses occur, if those wins occur that we previously spoke about, Don comes out of the 21 and Semi drops out of the 2 shirt, and they give Anthony Don his farewell game on the wing, because the result doesn't matter at that point. I think Don's down there in the 21 just in case. But it could still be an all to play for game. Both of the Sharks and the Sharks and the Raiders have must-win games. They're potentially tight games, and we've both tipped against them. I think that's probably the general consensus as well. But it would be great to see Anthony Don go out on a high for the Titans.
See, now you're making the Sharks. First things first, I may not be able to get to do it this weekend. I'm very sad that little sexy boy's not in there. Yeah, that's right. Look, Sexton has to be in the side next year. Has to be in the side next year. It might suck that it comes at the expense of Jamal Fogarty, but he's got to be there. He's too good. Too good to be playing reserve grade football. Someone will snap him up. Tough. Don't know. Warriors, again, so close to, but so far. There's already talks that they're here again next year. I pray that that's not the case. I really hope. They've done enough. Send the damn guys home. Let them be with their families. Give them a full year of home games next year. Let them capitalize and make some of that money back from not being able to have game day advertising. Let them make some of the money back from ticket sales because they're still paying rent at Mount Smart. Let them go home. Let them see their families. Some of these guys haven't seen their kids yet. Dalamateni Zelezniak hasn't seen his newborn yet. That's the sacrifice, and I know that, but they're NRL players, they're professional athletes, they know what they're getting into. No one knew what they were getting into 18 months ago when the world essentially was put on hold. It has been the worst 18 months since health-wise since the Spanish flu. You can argue World War II, everything like that, I know. In our lifetimes, for the majority of people who are watching this, for the majority of people involved in rugby league, it is the worst 18 months that we have experienced one way or another. Let them go home. Back to the game before we go on that tangent. I didn't like Peachy in the 6 last week. I don't mind it now. I don't mind it. I still don't think that's a right option, but it's not the worst idea. I'm stuck. I'm really stuck. I'm going to the betting odds on this one. I'm going to the betting odds. They've got the Titans as a 128 favorite. I don't think it's going to be. The line's 11.5. What the hell? Let's go to Titans. There's so much emotion that's going to go around this game. You got players retiring potentially. The Titans, like you said, they may not be playing for a final as of right now, they are, but they may not be come Sunday at 2:00. So, there's going to be a lot of emotion in front of their home crowd. If he plays on anytime try scorer, absolutely. If he doesn't, Fafita probably goes over. Montoya probably gets the jump over Sammy. Tenny Zalesniak probably gets the jump over Thompson. I'd love to see Jaden Campbell slice through again, but I don't know how feasible that is. The more I say it, the more I think the Warriors, but I'm sticking with it. Titans 1-12.
Yeah. I'm going to go... Oh, do I go 1-12 or do I go higher? See, the problem that I've got here is the Titans, I know that they know where they sit. If we're tipping a big Melbourne win, say that the Melbourne Storm do win by 13 points, that still only puts the Sharks on -37, which means that the Titans still need to win by a sum total of 11 points to come out on to jump the Sharks.
Realistically, are the Sharks going to keep it within 12? Realistically.
Under normal circumstances, I'd say pigs flying. But these are not normal circumstances. This is round 25, finals on the line, jobs at stake here. I'd say that under normal circumstances, no. Under these circumstances, more likely so. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't tip the Titans to win 13 plus against a Warriors side that have got so much to play for, because the Warriors are an incredibly proud side. They've as you mentioned there, they've sacrificed so much. The last thing that they want to do is just roll over and bow out in they want to go down in flames, basically. They're on a kamikaze mission. They're going out and they're taking you with them. That's their approach here. They may not be at the party, but they can definitely spoil the party. They aren't getting an invite, neither are you. And that's their attitude coming into this game with the Titans, dependent on results. But that will be the narrative. The Warriors, it will be one last hurrah. Yes, they'd have liked. Look at the players that the Warriors have lost through the course of the year. They've lost RTS through their captain, who started this year, basically doubling down and saying that the Warriors are going nowhere and will be there to keep the competition going. Now they've lost him early. Yes, they've gained Breece Walsh and he will be their long-term one, but they've still got clubs sniffing around Walsh and trying to secure him to a long-term deal. They've got young talent. They've got Harris Tavita. They've got Sean Johnson coming next year. They have a lot to look forward to next year, but that does not mean that their minds are off this assignment. Same with the Titans. The Titans are very much alive and kicking for this year. It's just they need a result. And I think that when that game goes down and that the Sharks, I'm going to say lose, dependent on whether the Raiders lose as well, I'm going to say Titans 13 plus here. I'm going to begrudgingly say Titans 13 plus. I'm going to say high scoring game. And I'm going to say peachy anytime for a try scorer.
I don't mind that. I don't.
Yeah.
I want to say this looks a complete mind F. I'll get smacked if I say the word. It's a brain frazzler. Realistically, the Roosters are going to be 5th. Manly should thump. Who did you say they were playing this week? The Cowboys?
Yes.
Para should get smacked by the Storm. So realistically, the Roosters are looking forward to next week against one of the Raiders, Sharks, Titans. If I'm the Roosters, I want the Titans to be there. I don't want the Sharks because while they are strong, while the Sharks have issues through the middle, they well and truly make up for that with their outside backs. Yeah, okay, the Raiders, I can see how they go, but Jack White is something different in big game situations that isn't Origin. They have Jordan Rapana, who's been strong. They've got Josh Papali'i, who could play an 80-minute final if he has to. The Titans don't have a lot of finals experience. They don't have a whole ton of big game plays. Yes, they've got Fafita, but Fafita can go missing. Yes, they've got Tino, but Tino can go missing. Yes, the Peach has found some form, but that's 5 weeks out of the last 3 years on a contract year. I know who I'd prefer. I want to see the Titans get into the finals, but I think the Roosters do too.
Yeah. I think I could honestly talk like another hour on that game. It is the game that excites me the most, and I just hope that things play out. Having the Raiders up first, I'd really like the games moving around. So you got the 3 of them playing on Saturday. So it's literally Raiders, Sharks, then Titans, and go down the ladder that way. That would have been honestly, turn the phone off, close the blinds, get in the comfies, feet up. It's rugby day all day.
Like that's the case beside you. You order in some Uber Eats, you get some greasy burgers or a steak. You start pounding the beers at 2:00 or beverage of choice, and you just have a great day watching 6 hours of non-stop finals. Yeah, it'd be finals caliber football.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, sorry, Gemma, you're not seeing me that day.
All right, we move on to this last game. Otherwise, I'm going to be very aroused.
Yeah, I will find myself in a lot of trouble as well. We go to our last game. It is one that excites me substantially less. It's the Tigers versus the Bulldogs. Both teams have nothing to play for. Honestly, I'm on such a high from that last game, and then I'm just so disappointed. It's like, when you wake up and you think it's Saturday and you think you got no work, and you look at your clock and it's Friday. That moment, that is comparable to that feeling.
No, it's comparable to having to work on a Sunday for a 2:00 NRL game, knowing you've got to be at the ground at 6 a.m. That is the feeling, my friend. It's yes, I'm working. It's Sunday. It's time and a half. Ah, crap, I'm there at 6 a.m. That hurt.
We'll go through the Tigers first. Moses Mbai will be playing his last game before he says Mbai to the Tigers and goes to the Dragons. Nofaluma and Mamalo are on the wings. Talau and Cheekham are in the centres with Jock Madden and Brooks in the halves. Yutoka and Kaylee making up the props with Little at 9. Then it is Blore, Leilua and Twile. Going to the bench is Offa Hingawe, Simpkin, Amon and Tulagi. Down to the reserves, it is Roberts, Hoffman, Sini and Simpkins. Over to the Bulldogs, and surprise, surprise, the Bulldogs have visited the chiropractor's office once more with yet more spinal readjustments. It is Wakeham and Flanagan in the 6 and 7, Meany in the 1, and Katoa in the 9, Biondi-Odo in the 14. Honestly, Bulldogs, I give up. I don't care anymore. I'm not even mad anymore. I'm just disappointed. It's the same thing every week. I'm so bored of it.
Well, okay. Mate, Lachlan Lewis has not helped that situation one bit. That's all I'm going to say about that. Wakeham played last week. They've gone with the same spine. The strong chance Avarillo just doesn't play this week just to be like, you know what, we're shutting you down. Season done. Here's the thing that's coming to me out of this game. Napa and Katoa both have been told you're not welcome next year. Go away. Those are the 2 that I can remember. There very well could be more. I think Kikamanu might be one of those as well. But you've got 2 players in that 21 that are not going to be there. I think Wakeham might have already been told earlier in the season to start looking. You got two guys potentially. Napa is in the 20, but you have Sione Katoa, who is playing for his career. You got no Jeremy Marshall-King there. He's out injured. Bailey Biondioto has been superb. He's been really good this back end. You can't say that for a lot of Bulldogs players this year. They're gonna have to come out. They're gonna have to play well. Who the bloody hell do you pick for this game though? Like seriously, it's the end of the it's the end of the year. It's been a wild, wacky season. You know what? Just because I can, Bulldogs 13 plus. Yeah, because I can. That's the reasoning. It's been that sort of a year. We've got finals coming up that hopefully will make some sort of sense. Like I've got 6 weeks of growth here. Like this is staying until sit. I think this is getting to me. No haircut in like 3 months. No shave in 6 weeks. I think it's getting to me because I'm tipping the Dogs. Why not? That's my reasoning. Why not? Anytime try scorer. I want to see Stefano go over again. Stefano Utoikamanu for a try. Ockenball goes over Nofaluma. Kyle Flanagan scores. Again, why not? It's been that sort of a year for him. Why not score in the last game? Just because. That's the way I see it. You take the rest. I don't want to talk about this game.
Here's my tip for it. The NRL see sense and they go, nobody wants to watch this game. Nobody wants to be subjected to this. And they just pull it. They pull it from the listings and we act like Tigers Bulldogs was not the thing that closed out round 25 of the NRL in 2021. Is life not bad enough? You're 7 weeks into lockdown and the last game you have before finals football is the Tigers versus the Bulldogs. The Tigers aren't even playing for 9th this year. That's how little they have to play for. They love 9th and they can't even have that. What is... I'm so done with this. Tigers...
10 weeks of restriction.
Oh, God. Okay. Tigers 1-12 for me. Just again, Bulldogs, spinal adjustments, things that annoy me. Biondiodo should be in that starting lineup. You got Meany going at the end of the season. You got Corey Allen, who you're paying money as a fullback, and you played him on the wing. He's the most expensive winger in the comp right now, I'm pretty sure, with the exception of possibly Adokar. And look where he's off next year. Bulldogs, why are you paying wingers $850K a year? Why? Do you know what? This has got to me. I was on such a high after Titans Warriors, and now meanwhile I'm ranting again because the Bulldogs have done it to me again. And you know what? The Tigers as well. They're not angels in this situation. They've still got Cheekham in the centre. Meanwhile, you got James Roberts, who's probably set to retire at the end of this season, and you're not even going to give him one last hurrah in the 4 shirt. Come on, Maguire, have a heart. Give the man his dues. Come on. Hoffman, what's he done? What's he done wrong? You've barely seen him this season. You've got no to play for. Just give the guys a run out. You've got Jock Madden in the 6. Okay. Maybe try somebody else in the 7 shirt. Because I'm gonna let the Tigers in on a little secret here because I don't think they've realised. Luke Brooks has been playing terribly at 7, and you should give somebody else a shot at that shirt for next year. I don't know, maybe like a young kid who's like sitting down in the reserves, not getting a game because you keep putting Luke Brooks at 7. Stop it. I'm going Tigers 1-12. I'm going to go Tigers.
That's on our head. I'm going Tigers 1-12.
Honestly, I'm like a petulant child right now. I really don't want to do it. I'd happily see this game end a 0-0 draw and we don't even take it to Golden Point. That's how over this game I am.
Wrap it up, Matthew. No. We're going to get cancelled.
I'm trying my best, believe me. Right. Okay, you have somehow managed to endure an hour and a half with us, which is something not many people can say that they've done. That is the end of round 25. That is the end of regular football. On to finals next week. We'll be back to take you through all the team lists, all the news ahead of finals football, and fill you in on all the team changes as well. As ever, if you've enjoyed the show and you'd like to watch it back, you can do. You will be watching the full version on our Facebook or YouTube channel, or you can head over to the Brilliant Recast where you can watch our individually broken down content, so you don't have to subject yourself to another hour and a half with us. You can just watch us in 10-minute, more manageable chunks. So head to https://recast.app and then search for CK and Red Rugby League, where you'll find myself and Luke. It is free to join, it's free to sign up, and free to use. Go over, check it out. Honestly, we have a great time there. But I guess all there is to do is outro and let you guys get back to your respective lives. Luke, it's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed it. Hope you're well, mate.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah,
it's regular season done. We still got finals to do.
We've got finals. We've got, honestly, if you think that we're done at the end of the season, you're wrong. We've got season reviews. You got the Serbian League returning as well. Catch that over on our Recast channel as well. We got a game this week, Dorchol versus Red Star. What a game that's going to be. All the details of that be coming out through the course of the week. But we hope wherever you are in the world, you are safe, well, and happy. And thanks you once again for joining us. We will see you same time next week to chew your ear off about rugby league once more. See you then.